Hi, Kara.
Hey, how are ya?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
Doing well. I like your background. I like the vibe of your brand.
Oh, cool. Thank you. And if you don't mind, send me your address. I got stickers. I'll send you one.
Love it. Yeah, I will.
So, where are you located?
I'm in Denver.
Denver, Colorado. I was actually up in Castle Rock this summer. I love it up there.
Oh yeah, nice. I saw you're in Kansas City, right? Not too
Yeah.
far.
Kansas City. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Very good.
So, well, it's great to meet you. And I want to begin our conversation with, it's a little heavy, but it's what we lived through for the last 3.5 years. How did you survive COVID and get through it? And how has it changed the way that you approach things now?
Yeah, absolutely. And would you like me to speak from a business perspective or personal or both?
I think the Venn diagram really bleeds into each other.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
kind of a holistic kind of look at things.
Sure. Yeah. Well, yeah, I can jump right in. So I think I will say, first off, I'm incredibly fortunate to work from home. I've always worked remotely. I'm accustomed to that. I know how to sort of, manage that. And I think, to be honest, I have a second advantage that my stress coping mechanism is to work, and I lean into work, and I work my tail off and keep my head down. So I did that. But you can only do that for so long, So I think, um, I will say that the thing that I learned from COVID and the thing that I really took away from it is the need to lean into relationships of all kinds and develop connections of all kinds, professional friendships, tighten the close, intimate relationships that you have in your life with family and loved ones. And I just think you can't, I think when everything slowed down, we weren't able to numb ourselves with busyness and activity and different things happening. And so I think I realized the importance of needing to have those connections stay strong and be able to lean on other people and be vulnerable and be able to show up fully myself and take care of myself so I can do that. And I would say that's what got me through and really um I don't know. I feel like the experience was for all of us brought to the forefront sort of the humanity and the vulnerability of just the human condition. And so I think in that way that ideally gave us a little bit more to connect about and to sort of see the humanity in other people and one another.
And
Yeah.
the irony of all of it is that we were separate and we use technology like this to connect with each other. But I think that's the whole thing. The palpitation of the real human was what we were
Mm-hmm.
missing, the community. And hopefully it's not something that's fleeting. Hopefully it's a residual that will just keep on, like a
Yeah.
ocean wave, just keep on going out there. So,
Yeah. I hope
um,
so too.
yeah. So let's get to the heart and soul and essence of what you do on a daily basis. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders. It's career day. One of the kids looks up and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
I help speakers and entertainers, people who work from a stage. I help them run their business. And I do that by helping them plan ahead, get their calendar set to make sure that they're doing smart things with their time. And then I help hold them accountable. I don't know if third graders know the word accountable, but that's the word I use a lot in my work.
Well, if they don't know it, they should probably learn it.
They probably should. It's a good
So
one.
it's weird to think, and we've seen this in films where there's such a level of stage fright. I remember JFK had horrible stage fright, and who would
Mm.
have ever known? So, do you encounter that with a lot of people that you have to, clients where it's like you wouldn't think that they have some level of fright of being in front of people, but they do?
That's a great question. I don't know that fright is so much the word I would use as vulnerability, I suppose, right? So I think one of the things that I love is that as the person who works as their second command, like I'll do sort of fractional support with them. I get to see behind the scenes. I get to see them be vulnerable and come off a stage. And, for most people, they are larger than life when they've been on that stage and they're speaking and they come across, they're so powerful and they're compelling and they're intimidating. And then they come talk to me and I'm the one who gets, oh my gosh, was that any good? Like how was that? And so I think, it's been interesting as I work with people who are in the spotlight a lot, we sort of stop appreciating that that's a vulnerable space for them, even if, because they get up there and they seem so comfortable, but they work at that, and they need to know, they need the validation just as much as we do. So I think that's been an interesting experience to realize that no matter how big and fancy someone might seem, they're still a human. They're still, it goes back to what we just talked about with COVID. I think they still are being vulnerable, even if we don't see it as that, because we aren't the one used to getting up on stage, and we would never do that. And it feels, it's still extremely vulnerable, even when they've done it 100 times, I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Yeah.
So let's go back to your third grade year. What did you want to be when you grew up? What was your dream?
I wanted to be a professional singer. I wanted to be on a stage. And um, I'll go to shows now, and I'll go see people do their work. And I just have such an appreciation for the time that they spent not getting it right? When people would sort of laugh at them or feel like, okay, you're going to be a big professional, whatever. I think it's pretty amazing that people just continue to put their message out, put their expression out, their creativity, and see what's going to land. What's the world going to, be interested in? What do people really want to hear or see? And to continue just being really honest and vulnerable with their art and putting that out there. And so I think, it's funny. I was thinking about this the other day. I chose not to do that because I think I found parts of the business world that really click with my brain, and I like the lifestyle that I have, and some different things that I see. Like, for example, I have speakers who are on the road, 300 days a year, speaking all over the country and all over the world. And they're exhausted, and it's their entire lifestyle, same with musicians and performers. I think, it takes so much dedication, and I don't think that's what I want anymore now that I know the reality of it. But I love being able to be close to it and support people who are driven to do that, who have something important to say. So yeah, I think there's a little bit of little me that wanted to be on a stage, who loves getting to support these people who are doing that.
So let's peel back the layers. Let's go back to where you were born and raised and how
Mhm.
these seeds got into you to want to be a singer, to help speakers. How did all of this happen?
Yeah. So I am originally from Idaho, small town Idaho. Wasn't on a potato farm, if that's what you're wondering, but I drove past potato farms. I let's see, I was raised by two teachers, and education in school was my life. And I lived it, breathed it. I was a real good kid. I was really academic and an overachiever. And my mom was telling me the other day that some of her earliest memories of me, like where she started to see my personality, was that I was always organizing things. I was constantly rearranging my room and putting things in order. And, I thought, well, that tracks. Like that's pretty much what I do now. I organize everything all the time. I just do it for business. So I think, that's some of where I've been reflecting on those natural parts of me that do come out in my work. And then I went to Boise State and the Smurf Turf, and I loved that. I loved people. And so I studied psychology and sociology and was just fascinated getting to understand why people do what they do. And I'm an empath. And so I think that the connecting with people and understanding the people's whys, I really enjoyed that. And so I spent most of my college years focusing on that. And while I was doing that, I was at a virtual assistant firm. So I got exposed to a lot of this online business space, and a lot of entrepreneurship and people doing interesting things or trying things on and trying to make it work. And that was a really powerful experience. I think it can be, for a lot of people, I think when they think of entrepreneurship, they don't even really know where to start. Like, I'm not someone with a big innovative idea, or I don't want to launch a product. And there's so many ways it can look to design a job for yourself that you love. And so after I worked at that virtual assistant firm for a while, I did, marketing freelance for a while, digital marketing, and had an agency. And then I realized that really what I loved about marketing was the operations piece of it. So now I focus more on the documentation, developing processes and systems, helping people be strategic about the way that they design their business. And especially post COVID, everything is much more digital than it used to be. So helping people design a digital infrastructure is what I say. So a project management system, a CRM, how are you setting up that space as though you're setting up an office so that the people that work for you can be effective, so you can be effective. So I love this process operation side of things. And I think there's a big need for it. I think it kind of is the last thing to come sometimes. And a lot of times it's one of the things that can really make your life easy, make the work enjoyable, make it more streamlined. So yeah.
Okay. So speaking of singing, what was the first live concert that you saw that blew you away?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, I have kind of a silly answer, I think. So LMFAO, who sings Party Rock Anthem, I
Uh-huh.
went to their show when I
Nice.
was in college, and I think the reason that I bring that up as the answer is because it was the first show that I went to that was a full experience. Like it wasn't just about showing up and enjoying the music that I liked and dancing around. It was also so visual. I think it was the first time that I had been to, any sort of mainstream music show where they had the resources to be able to put on a full production and give you a full experience. And since then, I mean, I'm in Denver, so I get to go to Red Rocks all the time. I'm extremely fortunate to have that right there. I'm there, a couple times a month. I love it. And it's the same thing, that shows are not just music on a stage anymore. Shows, it's an entire experience, the visuals and I mean, everybody has seen, because of the Taylor Swift tour, everybody has seen these little, I don't even know what they are, the buzzers that light up,
Okay.
where the entire audience, have you seen this, where the whole audience will have a little buzzer that's lighting up, and so they can do designs on the,
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it. Uh-uh.
it's incredible. It's
That's
incredible.
cool.
And it requires so much organization to make it happen. Like, just the involvement with these productions of shows that they put on. And, I've been to a couple shows that are like trilogies where it's the same artist on stage for 5 or 6 hours, doing a whole in-depth discography of their music. I mean, it's incredible. And it is designed as a full experience where there's drone show parts of it. And they're interacting with the audience in different ways, coming to different parts of the stadium. And I think, I'll be curious to see the way it evolves, because I think it's leveling up. And I think it's an exciting time to see the technology coming through
Yeah.
performance arts in this way. I think it's pretty incredible.
U2 has a video out. It's going viral where they were somewhere recently. Did you see that? And the
I
whole,
did see it.
it's
Yeah.
wild.
I
Yeah.
know it's the new venue in Vegas, I think. So it's
Oh,
like, I know, I
oh,
think it's called the Sphere. And so I think it has both an outer part where the outside of the building is a similar thing, has a digital show
that's
on
right.
it,
It
as well as
does.
the inside. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't
Yeah.
know what it was because I saw it the other day and I was like, what is that? And it was a big smiley face making all these faces. And then I saw the U2 thing and now all of it
Mm.
makes sense. That's it.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I
That's
know.
wild.
It's on my list for sure. I'm excited to get over there and check it out.
Yeah, that's cool. So who's been a hero for you in your life?
That's a great question. Um, oh, let's see. I would say my mom. My mom works her tail off. She was a music educator and was a music educator. I say that because she's going to retire this year, but she is currently the president of the Idaho Music Educators Association, and she's been president for years and started a mentorship program to make sure that music teachers in Idaho are supported and that we're retaining them and that music is staying in schools. Her passion for her job has just been at the forefront of who she is, and we would move to these small towns in Idaho. We moved around quite a bit when I was younger, 3 times, I suppose, throughout growing up. But we would move into a small town, and she would develop this robust music program where, a tiny town that used to not have any kind of music program was suddenly taking kids trips to Disneyland, and we're suddenly applying for Grammys, and we were going to Seattle for international, competitions. And I think, she made kids feel cared for and seen, and that, she lived and breathed her work in a way that I think I really picked up. And I've had to, in the same way that I think she had to figure out work-life balance, I've had to figure out how to not totally drown myself in all the work that I love to do. But I think being able to bring the good energy that I watched her bring to her work, I can now bring that to my work. And I think there's I'm good at connecting with people. I'm good at making them feel seen and heard and appreciated. And I think a lot of that I got from seeing her with students, and the ability to show up and have people get excited about music and expression, and having that, I mean, you have to fight for it in a small place that doesn't have the resources to keep the music department going all the time. She had to make sure that the community knew this is why this is important. This is why this matters. So I feel really fortunate to have been in her classroom and being able to share that with her growing up. And now I see the way that she is, in the way that I approach my work all the time. I helped her with something the other day. I was just listening to a voicemail from her this morning, and she was, in the room with a bunch of Idaho legislators advocating for music and grants and music resources in small places. And she called me afterwards, and she was just so excited. She's like, I think they're really excited about what we're doing. And I like, it's so beautiful to see, because I think it is part of the school system that doesn't get a lot of focus. And, we're so focused on STEM, and not that that's not important, but making sure people appreciate the arts and music, and that moves forward for young people is critical.
That's where it begins. That's the bottom line. It's
Right.
like early childhood education has become a focus. And if you get the bug early, it just extends out. So,
Yeah.
if you could meet anybody alive on the planet right now and spend some time with them, someone that you really admire, influential, who would it be?
I love this question. Let's see. I mean, just because I just mentioned her, I'll say I really want to be someone who can help stars. I really want to be someone um, who can show up and understand the best way to support people who carry the weight of being in the spotlight. I think it can be exhausting. I think, people, I'll see my keynoters who, do an hour and a half on stage, pouring out their personal message. It's a lot of really vulnerable stuff that they're sharing from stage about their own lives and things they've been through. And then they get off the stage, and people come up and are crying and want to share their story. And it's a lot of emotional energy and a lot to hold. I heard Sarah Bareilles talk about this once, where, her music is very heartfelt. She talks a lot about hard things that she's been through. And she said, I just had to stop meeting with people after my concerts because I couldn't handle it. I was so exhausted emotionally from it. And so I think, there's something again, I guess I want these people who are seen as being larger than life, to have someone like me in their court where they can come and be vulnerable and get the support that they need so that they can keep going out and doing great things on a stage. So to answer your question, I think I would love to talk with Taylor Swift, because I think this crazy, I mean, you've seen it, I'm sure. I mean, in Kansas City, I think this stuff with Travis Kelce, where she's in the spotlight in this way that is unimaginable. I mean, I can't, just her ability to affect our country right now with the choices that she makes, and, her Swiftie following. And it's hard to imagine living that out, because she's a real human, right? She
Yeah.
has it's vulnerable for her just as much as any of us to be on the camera that way. So to be able to hear what it's like for her, get a better sense of what she struggles with as somebody in the spotlight all the time, and how she protects her energy, and how she continues to show up and be vulnerable with people I think it's easy to get jaded when you're in the spotlight, and
Yeah,
you're on a stage. So
for
yeah.
sure. So let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into a much younger version of yourself, say in your 20s.
Mm-hmm.
You can give that version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom you've gained up to this point in your life. What advice would you give your younger self?
To have more compassion for myself. I think we're really, really hard on ourselves. I think we feel like we have to have it all together. I feel like, it feels like we're always behind, especially with social media and, everybody putting out sort of their best foot forward all the time, and their best face. I think it feels like the self-work that I've done, and what I've learned about how to show up and bring my best to something, it requires me to have a lot of compassion that I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm going to mess it up, and it's not going to be great, but that there's value in doing and just getting up and doing it again and again. So, I would really encourage myself to just enjoy the process instead of trying to get ahead to where it's perfect and it's done and everything. And I'm accomplished and everything's put together and I've arrived, and just let go of that and just sort of be present and have compassion for yourself through the experience, because you'll figure it out. I mean, as time goes by, that's what happens. You get older and you figure it out. So
Yeah.
just patience with myself. Yeah.
So of everything that you've done, accomplished, overcome in your life, what are you the proudest of?
Mm. I mean, I'm really proud of the business that I'm building now. Um, I think I've had in the last 10 years some really negative experiences in entrepreneurship and business partnership, and uh, leaders and folks in the spotlight who were not fun to work with, who had big egos, or they weren't good communicators, they weren't kind, things like that. I've really learned a lot from it, and I think now I'm really proud that I've been able to take a lot of less than ideal experiences and have that, culmination now result in something that I really love, which is supporting people in this role and supporting the right people now, right? Like I sort of know how to find my people and make sure that I'm supporting the kind of folks that vibe with me very naturally. Our energy is aligned, and so I'm proud of being able to go through hard things and take it as experience, as lessons that I don't harbor. And, if anything, it has just given me a master's degree in how to move through small business and be effective and be able to show up and help other people in their work and their business. And so I'm really proud that I've been able to reframe those things, to be really positive and to be lessons, because I love the business I'm building now and the people that I work with now.
So, Kara, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, but you're in control of it. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I am I think I'm a safe space for people. I think I pride myself in being able to be a very focused listener, being very present with people, holding space for people as they are messy and figuring things out, both personal and professional. I think that people see me as someone they can go to when they need to be messy and vulnerable and life is feeling hard, and I appreciate being able to, like, I see it as an honor when people come to me with their hard things, and being able to hold space. And I think when I was younger, I think that's the way that I felt like I brought value to people. And I've sort of had to learn how to be intentional about who I want to do that for and how I want to show up in those moments. And now as I get older, it's kind of my superpower that I think I can be very present with people and supportive in hard things, and have them feel like they can be honest and not have to put on a face.
So, if anyone out there wants to hire you, learn more about your business, anything about your world, where do they go? How can they reach out?
So they can find more about me at backstageops.com, backstage OPS. And there's an option on there to schedule a call and get in touch and have a conversation. I really want to be in conversation with folks who have a vision, they have, some sort of expression, something that they want to be doing from a stage, and they want to be able to monetize it and make a living from what they do on a stage and do it effectively. So having conversations about what that could look like. I love just being a resource and sort of hearing what people have going on and connecting them with the right people and helping them think through, the timing of when they need to bring different resources into their business. And so I would love to chat with anybody who's looking to do that.
Excellent. Kara, thank you so much for your story. Thanks for your time and insights. Best of luck with everything.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This has been great. I really enjoyed chatting with you.
Me too. Thank you. Take care.